I just beat Star Wars Battlefront, and it was good. Everyone loves Battlefront 2, but what about the first game? Why is it never brought up? Why is my brother the favorite child? Let's answer most of these questions as we check out the very first Star Wars Battlefront. Hey, I'm Tunuh, and I'm beating every PS2 game, but this random number generator is picking the games for me. I'll spin it for the next game at the end of this video, so let's get into it. The first Battlefront is from one of the most goated developers, Pandemic Studios. They basically released nothing but cult classics and some of my favorite games. You got Destroy All Humans, Full Spectrum Warrior, Mercenaries, and The Saboteur. Pandemic was even working on what would have been the first open-world Batman game before EA closed down the studio. This game, titled Batman Dark Knight, was pretty far into development, but there were some issues with the engine and lighting systems. The game was never officially announced. During an interview, actor Gary Oldman, who was going to be a voice in the game, accidentally revealed the existence of the project. It was going to be an early title for the PS3 and 360, releasing alongside the film of the same name. But after a couple delays, EA would close all development and finally shut down Pandemic for good. I actually don't even blame EA here. Reading about the development, that game sounded cursed from the start. Battlefront would have a different fate, releasing in 2004 for the PC, PS2, and Xbox One. I mean the first Xbox, the OG one, not the Series S, X, X, whatever it's called. Get it sorted, Microsoft. The game begins with creating your profile. Do you want uppercase or little uppercase? It's silly, it made me laugh. Now, Battlefront, it's a bit of a clone of the Battlefield games, but that's doing it a massive disservice. It's way more than just a skin or even a conversion mod. But before we get into the why, we need to choose the campaign, because there's two. You got Historical Campaign, which follows the movies, and Galactic Conquest, which is a unique mode where you need to fight on different planets, and each planet you gain control of grants you some kind of boost of some kind. It can be more health for your guys, or even a Jedi hero unit helping you out. Unfortunately, you can't play any of the hero units in this game. Battlefront 2 you can, but I'll get into that later in another video, I'm sure. So the goal of this challenge is to reach the end credits, and because of that, I feel like the historical campaign is more in the spirit of that challenge. Within this, there's actually two sub-campaigns, either the Clone Wars, aka the prequels, or the Civil War, aka the original trilogy. Let's go Clone Wars first, since it's at the top. Campaign begins with an opening title crawl that I skip. It's just setting up the story, but I'm not sure if it's a one-to-one copy. I don't really care. Everyone knows what Star Wars is. Do I really need to explain it? Worth noting, if you're not familiar with the movies, this game will not help you. You will be super lost. For example, the first battle is Naboo, and if you didn't watch the first movie, you may be wondering, what the heck's a Gungan? A mistake, that's what. Right off the bat, you'll notice, unlike Battlefield, this is a third-person shooter. Though you can play the entire game in first person if you want. Though doing so, it's clear it's not really made for it. It's not bad, it's just kinda clunky. Like the gun animations are stilted and yeah, am I making any sense? You also can't see around cover as easily, which has always been an issue with third-person PvP games. The Battle of Naboo is a great introduction because you play as the good guys. The objective, like in Battlefield, is to deplete the enemy team's tickets before they do yours. You do this mainly via kills, but I think tickets also tick down depending on how many control points you control. I say I think because I'm not sure. Like, it says that, but it doesn't really feel like it. It feels like the only thing changing the tickets are deaths. Regardless, it's a good habit to grab them while you can, especially since that's where most of the fighting takes place. This game gets hard if you're not constantly taking out enemies. You can't rely on your teammates to win it for you. Ooh, look, even the spaceships in the background move. Neat. It adds to making this feel like an epic Ooh, birds. Oh my god, look at that sun. What were we talking about? Anyway, you should collect control points, but you can capture them even faster with teammates. You can issue simple commands with the D-pad. You want to tell them to follow you if you're capturing points. Teammates mostly just get in your way while fighting, but what can you do? It's early 2000s AI. I miss you, Fear. Naboo is also a great starting level because the Gungans aren't given guns, because God hates them and wants them to suffer. Instead, they just throw what are basically weak grenades. They're easy to dodge if you even need to. This game also came out when the prequel trilogy was hot, between episodes 2 and 3, so Naboo is full of recognizable things most people would already be familiar with, even if you didn't watch the first movie. I haven't seen episodes 2 and 3. I think I saw episode 1 as a kid, but I don't remember anything, and I don't particularly care for it even as an 8-year-old. I mean, I know what lightsabers are and Jedi and blasters, but all that stuff I just learned via osmosis, I guess. Video games, references, commercials, toys, that sort of stuff. Growing up today must be pretty weird. I mean, who watches TV commercials as a kid in 2024, 2025? YouTube, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, I finished the level with 34 kills. Step it up, Unit 843. Next level moves to Naboo's Palace. We can use droidicas here, and they're amazing. Just like the movies I didn't watch, they can roll and use a shield. They're the perfect balance because they're fast, but they can't turn well. Also, they're very weak and vulnerable without their shield deployed, which you can only use while in shooty mode. Their shield also depletes over time and with damage, so if you use them right, they're devastating. But if not, then you'd think they're the worst unit in the game. They're also a massive pain to fight against the entire campaign. Halfway through, you swap sides, and we'll get to that, but Christ, I hated fighting droidicas. Next level brings us to the Wookiee world of Kashyyyk. Why is it so dark? This level's got starfighters, which are broken, they're so OP. They only have twin blasters, but they recharge super fast and they deal big AoE damage. They're also super maneuverable. I hop out and run around on foot just because it's more enjoyable than picking off the enemy with the ship. I really like the design of this level. You got the mixture of the water, elevation differences on the islands. It's pretty and interesting visually too. You have these little bamboo forests and huts you can be inside and shoot from. It's got variety and I appreciate that. Every new level in this game is so distinctly different from the last. They're very memorable for that. Next level, we finally swap to the clone troopers.
Concentrate all firepower.
Sam Jackson's here to help us, but like in the movies, he does fuck all. At least we can drive the sexy clone trooper vehicles. I love the designs of all of them. The flying gunship thingy, the big walker, you even get the tank in a level down the line. For this level, we're given the sub-objective of destroying the Trade Federation ships. There's 3, and they do nothing. I think destroying them depletes some enemy tickets, but I didn't notice any huge difference to be honest. They're also huge bullet sponges. Thankfully, your AI teammates can shoot with you too. For example, if you're piloting, then your gunners will shoot at the sub-objectives, which is really nice because otherwise this would take forever. They'll even pilot if you want to ride along, but they're not very good at it. I mean, I appreciate the effort. This level also has these little flying bug guys. I'm sure they're explained in the movie, but again, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. Anyway, here, they don't do much. They kind of just fly around and die. To be honest, I forgot they were here most of the round. They're mostly outside, which is another thing. Like, almost every level in this game has levels with both an inside and outside portion. Sometimes multiple. Like in this level, there's a middle spire mountain thing if you want to do close quarters combat, but there's also a wrecked ship that can give you cover. So you have these 2 big landmarks on the map if you want to do close quarters combat fighting, and then they are surrounded by open plains. You're never fighting in the same environment for long, even if it's the same level. The color palette is great too and helps this a lot. One level's green, this one's brown, they all have tones to them. You love to see it. This level's the hardest by far in this game though. I don't know why.
I have to admit that without the clones it would not have been a victory.
You can say that again.
Victory!
Next level's Camino. Oh my god! Why is it so bright? This is the beach when I take my shirt off. We're given a new unit, the Jet Trooper. He's trash. Probably the worst unit in the game. At least for me. Okay, maybe if you're using a mouse and keyboard, it's easier to control, but for me, using a controller, it is really hard to aim with him while also zipping around. He also has no health, so he goes down really fast. Personally, I'm gonna stick with the Assault Trooper for now. But next level gives us the glorious Clone Trooper tanks. I love these things. They just look so cool. More broadly speaking, I think that's a big reason why Star Wars is so popular. It has such a distinct and cool art style to it. This Ralph McQuarrie guy, I guess he was the original art designer for the first film. I think without him, I don't think there would have ever been a Star Wars. And I think when people talk about Star Wars and loving it, it seems like 40% of that is just the art design. Something Disney has been trying to replicate for years. The prequels did an okay job at replicating it, I guess, but man, this game, once you swap to the OG trilogy, it's like a flip gets switched, and you're like, ooh, this is way better. Speaking of bad Star Wars, we're not on Hoth. We're on Hoth at home, I guess. But this level is cool, pun intended. It's got ice caves, ruins, and a large courtyard outside. I'm telling you, don't underestimate variety. It's also the perfect level to either use a tank or snipe guys. You can even use enemy vehicles so long as no one's in them. What's the best thing about the clone era? It's the narration guy.
Get aboard!
Also, they do look pretty fly for a white guy. Jet Trooper still sucks though. I needed to double check to be sure. Now I'm very sure. Speaking of sucking, we're back on Kashyyyk. But it's just an excuse for a Normandy beach level. The droids get like 8 different vehicles, and you get none. Ain't that some bullshit? We do got fish though. I also found out you can drown yourself. Why is this in the game? Who programmed this? It's wild. Someone spent the time to code in if your head is underwater, you'll eventually take damage. There's even a timer for it. So Star Wars Battlefront 1 has a concept of breathing going on. It's such a crazy detail. Barely any levels in this game even have water, let alone water deep enough for you to drown yourself in. So you might be thinking, well, it's designed that way so you can't shoot people underwater, but you can't shoot at all, so that's not it. So why? Why is it in the game? I'm not complaining, by the way. I love it. Shots don't go through the water, so you can't hit or be hit. Level ends and we get, I think, an ending from the movie? I don't know, this shit looks whack and cringe. It marks the end of the Clone Wars campaign, but we still have the Galactic Civil War. Now this is pod racing, I mean Star Wars. Again, we're playing as the good guys. The first level's got it all, the walkers, the hover car things, X-Wings, and even my ex. There's also this weird floaty thing Luke was on in the movie, but it's got no armor for the gunners, so good luck with that. Now I have given the Jet Trooper a lot of crap, but the Imperial Dark Trooper is the complete opposite. He's similar, but instead of a constant jump pack to hover, he has a boost. Think of it like a mega jump. You can use this to get to high up places, or to just get around the map more quickly. He also has a shotgun instead of the grenade launcher thing that the Jet Trooper has. Overall, I found him way more useful and fun to play. And there's Darth Vader, who's just standing there, menacingly. I really like this Mos Eisley level. Mos Eisley? Whatever this place is called. It's not as open as most levels, so you don't have any vehicles, but fighting so many guys in the tight city streets, it has its own epic quality to it, especially if you use grenades. Next level is Renvar. Love that place. It's my favorite planet in the Star Wars. I don't know. I don't know any of these levels, man. Help me out. Okay, but seriously, I do love how the outfits change depending on the level. So do you notice how we're in a snow level? Now we got snow garb on. I don't know, isn't that neat?
Victory!
Oh my god, bro, this game's got Yavin 4, which isn't as good. I'm more of a Yavin 3 guy. Also, this level was a pain in the ass, and I almost lost it. I mean the level, not like emotionally. What's interesting here, once you beat Yavin 4 as the Imperials, you swap over to playing as the Rebels, but it's also a different Yavin 4 level, so that keeps things fresh. It could have been really easy for them to just have you replay the same level, but as the other guys, but I think that'd be lazy. What's not lazy is the final level. Well, actually, it's the third to final level. It's Hoth, and it's glorious. I mean, it's too bright, but it's still fun. You got the big walkers, the Millennium Falcon that you can't fly, and the little ships that you can fly. Not only can you fly them, but you can also use the cables to trip up the big walkers. The passenger needs to do this, so you can use the AI to fly while you're doing it, but The AI, like I mentioned before, it's not the best. I did manage to do it a couple times, and it always felt really good when I did. This is also a legit strategy because the big walkers have so much health. I really enjoyed this level. It's not just iconic, but it being so open really gives this huge sense of scale for the battle. The outfits, vehicles, turrets, trenches, this level overall was just a ton of fun. There's even an inside section for some tighter fighting, but to be honest, you probably will never be there, so that's kind of a bummer. The level doesn't have everything. Regardless, it is one of my favorites, and I even got 88 kills on it, which I think is my best record. The final two levels are Cloud City on the ground and then the sky, clouds. The first is pretty forgettable, to be honest. It's okay. Second, though, is memorable, but I'm also not a huge fan of the hallways it forces you into. Reminds me too much of that Metro map from Battlefield 3. I think it was 3. It's been a long time. I guess a cool thing is that you got so many fighters, so you can do some dogfighting if you want. That's always fun. You got TIE fighters and X-Wings, so it's super iconic, I guess. Funny enough, this was the closest game I had. It got down to 2v2. I'm not gonna lie, it was really stressful. Thankfully, I finally find the last two guys and win the game. What a perfect ending. Oh, but I forgot actually, that was not the real final level, if I had not memory issues. The actual final level is Endor, which I think is the final battle in the third Star Wars movie, or so I've heard. You got speeder bikes, which are fun but kind of pointless. They're not very useful. You can die on them really easily. Also, the Ewoks here, they're just screaming the entire time, which is as funny as it is annoying, so you got that.
Take cover!
I tried to steal my friend's speeder, but yeah, it didn't work out so well. At the end of the map, on the Imperial side, there's also a generator you can destroy. That's a good time. The Ewoks don't really know what to do here, so they just get blowed up by friendly grenades. I unalive myself, and that's Battlefront, but there's actually two quick things I want to bring up. First, I don't think people talk about this game that much, because while it is a great game on its own, the sequel just does everything but better. There's no real reason to come back and play the first game. I guess it's got unique levels if you're into that, so yeah, I don't know. I've been playing Battlefront 2 just to compare and contrast, and if you're going to play any of these games, I highly recommend the sequel. Now, I haven't played the Classic Collection that's semi-new. That was a shit show, so maybe it's okay now. I don't know. I really like the second game. I think that's your best bet. If you want to play online, I don't know what to tell you. Probably the Classic Collection, but there you go. I do want to make a video on Battlefront 2 pretty soon. I'm not sure when. I'm not going to use the wheel for that. But yeah, I feel like I should rate these games. I don't know, right? I should rate them. 3 out of 5 stars. Almost 4, but it's a 3. Overall, I liked it, but it's got issues. And the second thing is it's time to spin the wheel and see the next video. And it's Fight Night Round 3. See you there.